a really good recording. All of our expert speakers, I think, are now in the chat with us. So, hey, everybody that I haven't said hello to, welcome. Thank you. Give us a wave. In the bottom of your screen, if you've joined us just recently, there is a little button that says reactions with a smiley emoji face. Feel free to use those. Feel free to chat in the chat box if you are not an expert speaker, because we'll all be looking at the chat box and we'll be picking up on questions and things that you may have. We only have an hour today and we are going to cover an immense amount of content. So first of all, what I would like to do while everybody's joining us, and I see everybody's in lots of different places, from inside the car, from what looks like the back of Canary Wharf, you know, you're all in weird and wonderful places, which is amazing. We can still have this conversation even though we're all on social lockdown. So if you want, can you, if you've just joined us, because I see the numbers are going up, say hi in the chat, tell us where you are, tell us, you know, where your business is or where you're coming and joining us from. It just helps to give us a little bit of a sense of who's with us today. I'm going to kick off now very shortly, and I'm going to ask our expert speakers to do a really brief introduction to themselves and their area of expertise so that everybody can get to know them a little bit before we kick off. We've got a jam-packed agenda for you as well. So I'm going to kick off with the lovely Dawn Crossingham, if she can just unmute herself, because she's currently on mute. I'm not sure if I can unmute Dawn. Dawn. Okay, Dawn's disappeared. Sarah, can you introduce yourself and we'll come back to Dawn.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sarah Sangster and I specialise in social and digital media, and I have a straightforward, calm approach to step-by-step strategy and tactics.
Lovely. Sarafina.
Yeah, hi, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're calling from. I'm Sarafina Walde-Gabriel. I'm VP of Strategy at Income Access, and we are a digital marketing company that specializes in affiliate marketing.
Great. Thank you very much for joining us. Sharon.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sharon McFarlane. I own Crystal Content. We are a content marketing agency. We've been in iGaming for around 10 years.
Great. Okay, I still can't see Dawn, so we'll move on to some of the gentlemen that have joined us. Nick, do you want to give us an introduction?
Yeah, I am a friend of Leanne's. I am launching a casino gambling platform, and I had a casino which I sold last year. And SEO is kind of a thing of mine, and occasionally I do some consulting, but my big thing at the moment is launching this new casino brand.
Amazing. Dean.
Hi, I'm Dean, founder of Maverick. We are a business growth digital selling company based in Plymouth.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Martin. You're on mute, Martin. Hello. Hi.
Hello, I made it back. So I'm Martin. I'm marketing director at ICS Digital. Their digital marketing agency that specializes in gaming, doing all sorts of things from SEO and content to translation.
Lovely. Dawn, you're welcome back. Can you give us a brief introduction to yourself?
Yes, the internet's a bit difficult out here in the rurals, but I'm a business advisor and I help businesses who are looking to elevate themselves and also look at their vision for growth and help people to look at change management and progression in their businesses.
Thank you very much.
My business is D52, the Business Toolkit, if you haven't heard of me.
Amazing. Van.
Good afternoon, I'm Van Chappell. I'm the general manager for Brand Verity in EMEA. And we specialize in brand protection, both in paid search as well as across the web.
Alan.
Hey, I'm Alan Petrilli, VP of Sales and Analytics. I've been in the industry since 2011. As a company, we service the iGaming industry both from a traffic standpoint and recently went to market with our own business intelligence and analytics tool.
Amazing. And last but definitely not least, can I say welcome to Sam Bihar.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam Bihar. I'm head of global marketing at Marathon Bets. So we're an international operator, and my specialism is media planning and buying.
Amazing. So as you can see, we've got an amazing amount of talent expertise with us joined here today on this call. I just want to welcome everybody that's joined, because we've had quite a few people come on. If you just please use the chat to chat with one another, to ask questions. We will be looking at the chat throughout this call. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are not a speaker, please put yourself on mute, because you can control that yourselves. And we will kick off with the conversation today. So thanks guys for joining me. I mean, one of the biggest things that I would like to talk about right now, and hopefully Dawn, you're still on the call and we haven't lost you, is just talking about business mindset. So it's been a really, really difficult couple of weeks. We're all now on, or we should all be on, social isolation. We're all calling in and working from home, juggling kids, juggling, you know, businesses, teams remotely. It's been an incredibly difficult time. And along with that, we all need to think about, you know, how does this impact and change our business? And I invited Dawn Crossingham onto the call today to talk with us about, you know, getting your mindset ready. And Dean, I know you had a call that was very similar to this a week ago in terms of, you know, crisis thinking during periods of turbulence. So I'm not sure if Dawn's still with us. Hopefully the tech is going to bring her back in, because I know that she's in a rural space, but if not, we'll get back to that. But just thinking about, you know, understanding that during times of crisis, you are going to go through critical thinking. You are going to go through periods where you're going to be emotionally, you know, affected, and that might affect your business as well. Dawn, are you back? If so, can you maybe just switch off your video and chat?
I am. I'm sorry, the internet is unstable.
Okay, turn your video off and see if we can just hear your voice.
Let's just have a little look. Stop video. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. So if you want to talk a little bit about crisis thinking and management during periods of change, that would be great.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things we need to first do in our businesses is look at acknowledging any fears, concerns that we have in our businesses, because it's by acknowledging them and by embedding ourselves in our businesses and saying, okay, what is it that's scaring us? What is it that's concerning us? What are the problems? That we have the opportunity to kind of write those down and kind of embed ourselves in the pain points, really. I've come up with the phrase dump the junk. It seems to fill our heads quite a lot. You know, we start to think of all the reasons why we can't do things instead of looking at all the things that we can do.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm encouraging entrepreneurs to do that I'm speaking to on a daily basis is to look at the fact that on a daily basis we deal with change. So this is something that we're very, very equipped to deal with. And you know, we all know what it's like when a supplier lets us down, or when you know, trend had to be adaptive. And I think that's very much the Darwinism approach, that, you know, it's a survival of the fittest. Well, no, it's a survival of those that can adapt. And so it's about how we adapt, really, to a changing environment. And we're absolutely equipped to deal with this, because we do it every day in our businesses. We're all very customer focused in our businesses. It's ensuring that our customers are their orders are fulfilled, that they're
I think we're losing Dawn. Okay.
Yeah, the communication with them is constant, and whatever happens, and look to change, you know, the future for our customers. So I think that people need to look at communication, need to look at communicating with their customers, and look at talking to their suppliers and staff in order to see how they can change their model. Were you going to ask me a question, Leanne?
Yeah, I think this is quite relevant to affiliates, because I think right now, I mean, I don't know if there's other affiliate managers on this call, and there must be, but for me, it's, you know, it's understanding what does that commercial relationship look like, because, you know, CPAs and rev share might very quickly go out of the window. We might be looking at other ways to actually monetize affiliate relationships. And Serafina, I don't know if you've got an opinion on this, obviously, and Alan, in terms of how this might change commercial negotiations, especially in the different verticals that affiliates work in as well. So the other thing is also to think about you know, how do you move your business forward to pivot? Because when you're in a crisis state, you don't always think clearly. And I know, Dean, you had a call last week where Stephen, the specialist that you had on your call, he was talking about the 4 different stages of crisis thinking, and you know, which stage are you at now, and then recognizing that and then moving forward with the plans, because also rushing into plans can be a negative thing for your business longer term. I think we might have lost Dawn. So I'm sorry about that, but we can.
No, just I'm back. Did you say that we need to have good plans? We need to plan for the. I heard the last 3 words, but we do need to make sure that we are. You know, we talk about business plans when people start up a business. We talk about.
I think we've lost Dawn.
Leanne, could I add something there? Is that all right?
Of course, yes, please do.
Something Dawn was saying, and something that was parallel to what we were talking about with Stephen last week, is that the world hasn't quite adjusted to this reality yet. As in, you know, we don't know, you know, our whole world's been thrown up in the air, and we're trying to adapt to being in the air. And actually, the reality is probably not sunk into a lot of businesses yet that this is it for a few months.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's thinking that this is just for 21 days, like the lockdowns, but I don't think that we can look that short term. I think we need to be thinking about how do we pivot for the next 12 months even.
Well, you're bang on, and then I'll shut up, I promise, Leanne.
No.
This is going to land as, oh, we're now basically a home workforce. So that'll land, and then we'll come back out of this, and we'll phase out of this. It won't be a kind of, oh, everything's back to normal on Tuesday kind of thing. So we will phase out of this over, say, 6 months. But then there is the cultural shift of this has become our new normal. So this will be our new normal until we find what the old world's like again. And it may not go back fully the way it was, as I think Nick was saying earlier. And then I'll mute now.
No, that's fine. Thank you for sharing.
Can I add to that very briefly? Yeah. So 2 things. So there's, I can't remember his name, but a guy who's a virologist, whatever that is, he was talking about this, US guy. He talks about this being a winter, a long winter. We've just begun the COVID season. It's so the way I now think about it is it's just a very long, hard, cold, north end of Sweden winter. And there's going to be a lot of snow around. It's going to be very hard going, and we'll get used to it. The good thing is that we know how to work from home. That's a good thing. So we will be productive when others aren't. And also the other thing to think about is this is a wartime footing, isn't it? So if you're into history, you know, every time there is a war, there is incredible innovation. And then there's permanent societal change thereafter. So if you add a few basic ingredients up together, and if you look at the 1918 flu, it went in 2 waves. And it's not going to go in this, there won't be a second wave because we'll have vaccines by then for sure. There's just so many sensible people on this that they will get an answer to it. So all we're going to do is hold back the first wave, but that's going to take us all the way into September, October. And as I was saying pre the call, there will probably be you'll probably get a free pass if you've been infected and you can prove you're now immune. And then your life will start to return to normal. And all these frontline people who will have this test, they'll get back to work and things will gradually open up. And then all those people who said, nah, we should be working in offices, it's a better way of doing things, they'll actually realize people like us, we were right all along. That actually this is the place to be, working from home. It's just a better way of doing things.
Well, one thing I do want to actually call on both Alan and Sarafina now to talk about this, because you did mention that, we've been through this before in 1918, but actually in this industry, we've been through this a lot, sooner than that. In 2006, when the US shut its doors overnight, a lot of people lost their jobs. There was, I would say, widespread panic. in the industry, and both Alan and Serafina have been in the industry that long, so they can kind of speak to this point and then move us forward into how this is going to change affiliate marketing. So if I can give it over to you, Fina, if you want to start first.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think you're right. And I have to say, you know, affiliates are very resilient and very creative. So obviously UEGA happened in 2016. And at that time, I remember, 2006, sorry, not 2016. It would have been lovely if it was 2016. But, you know, nearly 90% of the affiliate marketing in iGaming was US focused. And overnight, everybody's business and traffic and doors shut. So what did everyone do? Yes, of course, there's the element of reality. Uh-oh, what am I going to do? But as I said, they just bounced right back up and looked at new markets. So there were lots of new places that had gaming, and it was starting to come up, and there were different verticals as well. And that's how like Europe became so much more popular, and then again Eastern Europe, and then went on and on and on. There was also another time when a lot of impact was had as well on affiliates, was when Google did its update, its Panda update. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Nick, I'm sure you'd be very familiar with it. And again, people who had really good rankings, all of a sudden their ranking just plummeted. Their websites were no longer visible. Their traffic source just dried up. They changed, they adjusted, they learned, how to deal with it. So that's what I have to say, is affiliates are very resilient. Even now with all of this, I mean, things are moving so fast. Yes, I agree with everything that was said before. I don't think the reality has really sunk in yet, because we're not all going through the same stages of Corona at the same time globally. We're going at it at different times, and it's affecting us in different stages. So it's not like, the bomb has hit everyone at the same time. So we're gradually going through the reality of, is this going to be like, like what China was? Is this going to be like Singapore was? Is this maybe Sweden? Sweden hadn't even shut their schools the last time I checked on Friday. So who knows, and I think that's why everybody's just going step by step. But I think if you deal with it and address it that way, you'll get through it.
So how do you think, I mean, Alan, from your perspective, how do you think that affiliate marketing is really going to be affected by all of this, considering that we're all used to working from home? We're used to pivoting because we've done it once before in our lifetime. This is just another way. I mean, what are your thoughts from a marketing and technology perspective?
So it's hard to make a blanket statement, because obviously if you're a sportsbook operator and you only offer sportsbook and you're unable to pivot, yes, you're going to struggle. But I think it's important to note that, especially on the affiliate side, if you're a sportsbook affiliate, at the heart of it, you're an iGaming affiliate, and your traffic wants to bet. So if you're an SEO site and you get 100,000 sports bettors to your site every month, those guys or girls all of a sudden are not just going to not be interested in betting anymore. They're going to want to either play casino, they're going to want to pivot to esports. I personally follow a lot of Facebook betting groups, and these guys are finding things to bet on in different places. So it's incredibly important that. Pardon me?
I believe Belarus is still going. There was a.
Well, it's funny. I actually saw people talking about that yesterday. So there's places to bet. So as an affiliate, I've kind of championed this over the last year. Most publishers now are not your traditional SEO sites. They're guys who are buying on Google, Facebook, ad networks. So a lot of them are pivoting away from, if they were driving sports, how do I get into casino? How do I get into esports? How do I get into sports car trading? There's a whole bunch of other verticals that touch sportsbook that aren't directly related to it. And we're starting to see a lot of publishers pivot to it. We're actually starting to see a lot of publishers from outside of iGaming who their verticals are struggling, who have come to us and say, hey, how can we get involved in casino? Because they know that it's obviously profitable, and they understand that casinos are booming at the moment. So if we look at conversion rates last week compared to 2 months ago, conversion rates on casino have tripled in a lot of geos that we're working in. So while there's a lot of obviously struggle in the industry, and operators are struggling to pivot, and affiliates are trying to figure out what to do, I think we need to realize that the whole industry isn't doomed like it was in 2006, where people had to pick up and pivot an entire iGaming industry. There's a ton of other verticals and brands and opportunities that are actually seeing benefits from what's going on. And it's just important, I think, that people start thinking outside the box and pivot towards those, because there is a lot of ways to make money currently in the industry.
I mean, from my perspective, I think I read over the weekend, somebody posted on LinkedIn, and I don't know how many of you give me a thumbs up if you're all reading on LinkedIn and social channels more than what you ever did before, because the news flies faster there than anywhere else. I see a lot of thumbs up going up there. And we'll get onto social media in a minute, because we've got two very important social media experts with us today, which I'm very pleased about. Is poker is becoming more popular, and poker's been kind of dead for us for quite a while. And I know that there's, and I don't know, Sam, if you can maybe speak to this from a sports betting perspective, but there is a big correlation between sports betting and poker players in terms of the mentality that goes behind it. So I wonder if we're going to see a resurgence of poker coming back into the mix, maybe as affiliates pivot and look to monetize their existing databases. Sam, have you seen anything like that happen on your side? Have you seen any interest in poker?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there's so much that people have talked about, obviously, in the last couple of weeks. Oh, people are at home now; they're going to bet more. Doesn't matter what it is; they'll bet on it. There's a Belarusian Premier League. There's a amateur boxing in Ukraine. There's esports. Don't worry, people will still bet on it. Let me tell you something. I'm sat in an operator's chair. People aren't betting on the Belarus Premier League. People aren't fussed about that. They want Premier League back. They want La Liga. They want Serie A. And the operators that are just lazily offering people these new markets or these existing markets, because that's what's left and that's what you're going to have to deal with, I'm afraid, are going to lose out and are continuing to lose out. You're absolutely right about poker. Poker has seen a resurgence. Even bingo has seen a bit of a resurgence. But if you look at why has poker seen a resurgence? It's a skill game. It's something that is that you have a pre-existing knowledge on. It is something that has highs and lows. It sort of fits perfectly within a punter's mindset. Mm. You're asking someone to do the same thing on the Belarusian Premier League. I mean, who the hell knows anything about the Belarusian Premier League? And you're asking people to, and just this constant noise I'm hearing of, don't worry, people are at home, they're going to bet loads. I'm telling you, they're not. Consumer confidence is through the floor. Getting someone to deposit money at a sportsbook or at a casino is harder than it has ever been right now. In particular, in the next couple of weeks to a month, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to get people to do that.
And I wanted to talk about this point, actually, that you brought it up, is that, we've seen a lot of operators send out communications to affiliates now saying, under no circumstances must you use the word COVID in any of your marketing, and be responsible about what you're doing. And our industry is always under scrutiny from advertising standards and everything else. Now is not the time to panic and to do stupid marketing tactics. Now is the time to think long term, to play a really transparent game, to communicate with operators. If there are affiliates on this call, please listen to what I'm saying. It's about being ethical, about being responsible, about being transparent with your partners, and about actually building relationships that are going to last. Because as Dean said, when we come out of this period, things might not be the same as what they always were. We're not going to just bounce right back to what the world was 3 weeks ago. A lot's going to change, and that's including audience perception, as you've just said. So on the affiliate side, is there anything else that you guys think, the affiliate marketers that are here, is there anything else that you think is going to change dramatically? Do we have any questions from anybody in the audience about affiliate marketing, about the way that the industry might move forward, just before we move on to social? Because
I was just going to add, Leanne, that also the other thing to remember is before real money gaming in the States came up, there was a lot of activity in the social games side and virtual sports. And a lot of that is starting to pick up popularity. So I think what we said about poker, bingo, I think there's definitely a rise in that. I agree with you, Sam. I think pivoting to, another sports league that people don't really know too much about is probably likely not going to be the thing everyone goes for, but there is a lot of like social games, virtual games. We're seeing a lot of that, and we're even, you know, getting a lot of demand for it. So that might be another thing to think about in addition to the traditional casino, whether it's table or slots or fruit machines or poker games.
So one of the things that I want to call on now for our two social media experts, which is Sarah and Dean, and I've just had a question in the chat as well, how to distinguish yourself in this noise, especially in social media channels, which is a big form of organic, you know, traffic for affiliates and operators alike. All of a sudden, we're going to have a ton of streamers. So which one of the two of you wants to sort of talk about how, you know, social is going to become more important in your marketing strategy and traffic strategies, and how you can actually leverage these channels?
Sarah, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Fine. Thank you. The thing is about the current situation is that people are looking for either to be entertained or educated. And I've spoken about this before. It's not anything new. And this is really the opportunity to capture a market where they are at home, they are looking for some sort of interaction, and community spirit and getting people to do stuff together and that they're being entertained seems to be the way forward. So, you know, starting community groups, reaching out to people, gaming together seems to be a real key thing at the moment, whether it's, you know, you're seeing a lot of online bingo, the quizzing type stuff. They're actually wanting to do it together. So having a virtual feeling of friends playing together seems to be stuff that is really going forward. So seeing a lot of that, and that will continue because people do want to spend time together doing stuff that they always do and always have done.
What about communities and groups? I mean, engaging audiences now is probably going to be even more important, as well as retaining them. So it's not just going to be about traffic moving from one place to another anymore. It's going to be about building cycles around that traffic and making sure that your audience actually gets monetized in multiple different ways, which is part of the pivot. I mean, Facebook groups, talk to us a little bit about how affiliates can maybe...
Facebook groups, and also old-fashioned networking, so referral schemes where, you know, if I'm interested in something, I'm more likely to help and tell other people about it. That's becoming even more important at the moment. So if I'm finding a really good site for something, or I'm really enjoying myself, I'm telling everybody about it because I want to help other people. We're in a really helpful stage right now. That might change in the next couple of months when people just, you know, get a little bit more insular because they've been too social. But the old referral schemes of actually getting people to tell other people and other people to other people in communities, I'm seeing grow and grow daily. So that's definitely where people are moving towards.
Okay. And what about...
Hey, Leanne, can I add something there?
Sorry.
Just on the can I add something on the Facebook, like groups and that kind of stuff?
Please do.
One industry that I've been super interested in for the last probably 6 months is sports cards. It's something that's blowing up, especially in North America. We've seen values go like 10x in the last 4 months on basketball cards, football cards, the rest of that. And in a time now where there's no sports and generally that would lose value and interest in it would go away, I'm members of probably 4 or 5 groups that have 1,000+ members. And in those groups, individual people are streaming them opening boxes, opening packs, sharing their information on what they have. And the activity in those groups is mind-blowing. Like all day, every day, some people are bored, people don't have anything better to do, and the engagement in those groups is somewhat mind-blowing. So I think not only just like referral schemes and getting people to do actions based on stuff that you're pushing their way, if you're members of community and you can just add any sort of value or entertainment to people, where you're not really asking them for anything off the bat, but you're just giving them something to do during time where they don't really have other things to do, I think they're going to remember you as things start to open up, and then you've kind of carved out a niche in that person's kind of social life where you'll be able to monetize them down the road as well.
It's really about using Facebook to engage and actually have a conversation and not speak at someone, but actually become part of their world almost. I mean, Sarah, this is something that you're really, really good at in terms of using Facebook as a tool to, you know, have multiple touch points with clients. So, I mean, I would like to just call out to everybody on the chat, if you are thinking about using Facebook, Sarah is one of the most knowledgeable people I know in the Facebook world. and she's we'll put every expert that's on this call, their details will be shared on affiliateinsider.com, where you will be able to ask them more questions. I am conscious of the fact that we're halfway through our call and we've only gone through one topic, but I would like to just bring it over to Dean now and just talk a little bit about personal branding and how LinkedIn is actually going to become a really big part of your business. So whether you're an affiliate, an operator, an affiliate manager, digital marketer, now's the time to be seen and to actually get your your personal brand out into the space. So Dean, can I give you your 5 minutes of fame to just educate us on what's going to be changing?
Yeah, I think right now everybody's looking for things to do. So social channels are seeing a wave of people coming at them. One of the brilliant things about LinkedIn is people go, oh, it's B2B and I'm after consumers. They're consumers at work or consumers sat at home. There is no difference. LinkedIn used to be this kind of space where you go, oh, this is not Facebook. A lot of those people are kind of dying off or giving up. LinkedIn is a very social place and it's really easy to pull traffic. And somebody mentioned in the chat earlier about how do you stand out with all of this stuff going on and everybody's streaming and everybody's doing this. One of the universal things that I've discovered with social media is, and Sarah will probably, hopefully agree with this, is that it is about a long game with this stuff. Like with a Facebook group, with any kind of community you try and build on social media, even with LinkedIn groups, it's relatively easy to get the numbers in. The hard bit is keeping those numbers engaged. And that is thinking more about not what do I want to say or what do I want people to do? How do I keep people listening for the majority of the time so that when I drop that thing I want them to do in, they'll pay attention. And whether that's Facebook or LinkedIn, it's exactly the same. But you can pull lots of traffic from LinkedIn. You can build lots of a big community on LinkedIn relatively easy, but it is a long game. It is playing to the algorithm. If you don't get likes and comments on your stuff, nobody sees your stuff. It's that simple. And that's the same in Facebook as it is in LinkedIn. No likes and comments, nobody sees it.
So I want to talk about that a little bit now, because I want to kind of touch on the content marketing piece. And I know Sharon and Martin, you've got a lot of experience in this. If you're going to be posting stuff on any channel, whether it's your website, your social media, what do you need to be thinking about now in terms of content marketing to actually grab people's attention and get them to engage with you? So Sharon, I'm going to ask you to step in there as a content expert. You need to unmute yourself, darling. You're muted. Don't know if I can unmute you.
There we go. I think what we've found just now is, certainly from our clients, they've been a little bit nervous with their content marketing strategies. They don't want to be too promotional at this sensitive time. But that's the beauty about content. It doesn't need to be promotional. It can be, well, we kind of use our rule of thumb. It's to educate, entertain, inform, and inspire. So any sort of piece of content that we push out or our clients push out, it's all about storytelling and giving the user something useful to think about. I think also it's most important just now to keep in touch with clients, and content's a really, really good way of doing that. So giving them updates as to what the company's up to and anything else that might be useful information for them. People want to be interacted with just now. It's called isolation for a reason. So I think maybe being a little bit more innovative in some of the things that we do with content. So for example, we're now experimenting much more than what we were ever before with incorporating infographics and video. So people can digest the content in different ways. It could be that they don't want to read massive long form content, although how valuable for the SEO obviously that is, but they want to digest it in a different way. And it's all about understanding how that user interacts with your website, interacts with that page, and kind of adapting the content for them.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else got anything to add on content? I know there's quite a lot of content experts here. Anything that affiliates need to be thinking about in terms of the way that they produce their content?
Just a really simple one, particularly with posts. Really go over your own posts and see, does this invoke somebody's reason to contribute? Is there a reason somebody should engage with this? And not because my stuff's wonderful and they should. is there actually a reason that they should answer, reply, disagree, get offended, love it, find it funny? If you haven't built that in, it's going nowhere.
I think that's really important as well, Dean, talking about like user-generated content. So that's something that we're beginning to implement a lot more on people's websites. So rather than just having blog posts that people can read and not do anything with, that they can actually interact, comment, share their opinion, share what they think, and it gets them much more engaged.
Can I just chip in and say something?
Yeah.
Now is the moment of the herd, the zeitgeist. So if you think about it, everyone's watching the news and they're all kind of harmonized around COVID. So what that means is that we know that it's going to follow a cycle, because you just look at China and you look at these other places, you see how it's going to go. Now, if you're really smart about this kind of stuff, then you'll be a week ahead of the cycle or 2 weeks ahead of the cycle. So right now, people are starting to get sick of the whole COVID thing because they've gone through their preparation cycle. Now they're just hunkering down and so on. So once you start to get slightly ahead of the curve with your content, and then it becomes timely because you knew that they wanted a distraction, and let's say 3 weeks time, 2 weeks time in the UK, people are going to start feeling more optimistic because we'll get over what I call peak death, i.e. the death rates will start to subside and everyone's going to feel a little happier and a little more confident. So you know it's going to happen because you just look at the data. And if you're in the business of putting messages out there, just put those two is what's going to happen. The other two is what's in your head, what you know you can, your own domain. Put them together and bang, you're ahead of 90% of the population. And then you're the person that comes up with the story that is just awesome, and then it flies.
So just for Sarah and Dean, what are the one simple things that anybody on this call can do right now to make sure that either their Facebook content or their LinkedIn content is actually going to deliver a quick win? Like whether it's, I don't know, Dean, if there's a quick win that they can do on their LinkedIn profile to actually engage people more, the biggest thing that you can tell people to do. And Sarah, same for you.
I can tell you the biggest thing to do, but some of my colleagues may not like it. The biggest thing to do is, if you want to amplify content, is pods. Right now, if you're starting from ground zero and you've got, particularly LinkedIn is a pod will massively ramp up your content quickly, but obviously it doesn't solve the problem of the decent content. You'd have to get that right. But if you want to kickstart it, a pod. Okay.
Sarah?
Reach out for me. I think it's about having real conversations with people. So looking at people's content and reacting, whether that's in a real authentic DM or if necessary, if you want to speed up the process, using some really, really good bots to starting the conversation, because you will start having real life conversations, and that's where you're going to get the biggest return.
Okay. Now we've spoken a lot about organic, about content, about social. I want to move on to some of the paid digital mediums. So I want to talk a little bit with Sam about paid media, what he thinks is going to change, how affiliates can utilize paid media channels, how operators should be thinking about paid media channels. So can I hand over to you quickly, Sam, just to talk through some of the big things that are going to happen in the paid industry?
Sure. I think the first thing that everyone should do right now is stop spending money on media. I think that I've seen 3 or 4 different posts on LinkedIn from agencies saying now is the time to spend, now is the time to not stop everything, and I think that's irresponsible right now. I think what operators and advertisers should do is take heed of the situation and work out what's the best step forward. Dawn mentioned in the chat a second ago, ask your customers what they want. That is something that I think, I've been part of some of these panel discussions and some other discussions in the last sort of week or so. No one's getting to the heart of the issue for me when it combines media planning, affiliates, SEO, paid search, whatever channels you might have available, sponsorship. And the crux of the issue is people are at home, people are scared, people are worried, and we are asking them to deposit money and spend it on a luxury item, which is gambling. And I don't think it's appropriate for operators to be heavily advertising right now, but I think it is appropriate for them to be trying to work out what the future looks like. So let's ask customers, let's see what they want out of an operator. Do they want anything out of an operator right now? Is the best approach to just hunker down and try and ride this out? Media planning and buying will change dramatically because the demand and the need for it will change. So whereas, you know, I could ring a publishing house and ask for a rate card and try and put together a media plan, that was based purely on demand. Now there's no demand. And the consumption is lower. So the way that everyone, operators, engage with media owners, with publishers, with affiliates, with social networks, that will change dramatically because the commercial model has to change. And rather than people just demanding cash, they're going to have to start working out how to build partnerships. I think that affiliates wrongly get bashed by operators for kind of being media owners. And of course some are, you know, the big guys, the odds checkers and OLBGs of this world, they're going to request sums of money on a monthly basis up front. But really affiliates have got a chance to shine now because they can turn up and say, this is a crisis moment when the biggest thing you need right now as an operator is people spending money on your sportsbook and on your casino, whatever sportsbook is available and your casino product that you have. Here's where we can step in and where we can shine, and where all of the bashing that we've had over the last few years of you take the sale at the end of the buying cycle, we have to pay us commission forever, that can stop now because affiliates are now front and center for operators. And I think that is what will shift dramatically with media planning. Look, it's the 30th of March. What's going to happen on the 1st of April? All of media plans will be built, bought and paid for to the 30th of March, and it's end of Q1. What will happen in Q2? Am I going to turn the television on and see daytime advertising? Absolutely not. It's going to disappear. Disappear is the wrong word. It's going to shrink. And I think now's the time for affiliates to take advantage of that.
And that's why I'm saying, like, the streaming is becoming a much more interesting channel. So affiliates that have streaming sites and have actually built that audience, that visual audience, they can start looking at how they integrate and, you know, upsell that media platform within their affiliate business. So I think we're going to move away from, you know, website, app. There's going to be lots of multiple channels. There's going to be lots of different traffic sources. But I think the key thing, or the key point that I take out of your message below, is that affiliate marketing is going to become a lot more important to marketers because they're not going to be looking to spend prepaid budgets. They're going to want to use affiliates to leverage brand reach, and they are probably going to want to pay on a pay-per-performance basis. So I think the big for anybody in affiliate marketing is that this next period could be quite lucrative if you pivot and figure out how you're going to actually bring your traffic in and how you're going to monetize that traffic.
No, absolutely. And Leanne, just on that point, I've got a proposal in my inbox from a TV channel, let's call it, offering to work with us on a CPA basis. So build a TV ad, get it on our network. We will not pay you any money. We will not charge you any money. We'll give you a promo code, use a promo code, and we'll get a CPA. That's television. And all right, TV is a slightly difficult media right now, but everyone is going to have to pivot to that, and affiliates are going to sit in the background going, well, hold on, we've been doing this for a decade or more, and we're much more prepared to deal with this, and we're much more flexible than you guys, but the rest of the world is going to have to get on board with that.
Hey Sam, can I ask you a question on that? Because I tend to have a different opinion, but I want to clarify something that you said. When you mention and tell people to stop spending on media, I think we're at a much different time than we were, call it 5 years ago in the iGaming industry, where your biggest affiliates outside of, call it, your top three, which, you know, Catena Media, XL, those guys, the majority of the traffic that the big traffic drivers are driving is coming from buying media. So, you know, are you saying that those guys should stop buying media as well? Or are you saying, you know, the big brands should stop buying like above the line media, like TV, things like that? Or in general, people should stop spending completely both on digital and...
Yeah, I think yeah, you're right in your assumption. I'm saying that I certainly think operators should stop spending money. They should take stock and work out what's going on. fantastic opportunity for affiliates to buy media when it's as cheap as it is and it's as available as it is. I can't sort of get into the relevant tactics of driving traffic for affiliates. I've certainly never been that side of the table, but I think that it represents a great opportunity for affiliates, because in my opinion, operators and brands in any vertical should stop right now and work out what is the best strategy. It's almost a bit awkward kind of seeing an out-of-home ad, a billboard or a bus drive past, or a TV ad, and you think, you're pushing a product that really we don't need right now. And I think that affiliates can take advantage of that.
I do feel
Okay, so you're not saying that brands should stop spending money with affiliates who are themselves media buying them?
No, sorry, no. The exact opposite. We should spend. I'm trying to pivot as much money as possible into affiliates on a partnership basis, because it makes perfect sense to do so right now, and I think that is how the future will change.
I do believe that affiliate marketing has always hung at the 35% mark of a digital mix where operators are concerned. I think you're going to see that double. I really do. In the next 3 to 6 months, affiliate marketing as a strategic channel is going to be a much more important part of any digital marketer's mix. So give me a thumbs up if you believe that in the chat. I do want to spend, thank you, Sarah, and also in the actual chat. I do want to spend the last sort of 10-15 minutes of this call talking about pay-per-click and SEO, because I think now is a time when stuff's going to change in those channels. And if there are affiliates on this call, I do want you to listen to the experts that we've got in, Martin and Nick. I don't know if you want to kick off with, the immediate impact that this has had on search traffic. I think we've seen loads and loads of graphs bandied around on LinkedIn and other channels about how traffic has been affected in general in terms of Google search. But Martin, what do you think is going to be the biggest change that's going to happen to pay-per-click and search, and how should affiliates and operators be looking at that now?
So, this kind of leads into, it follows on from what Sam was saying, really. So my point of view, and bear in mind, I see directly the strategies of tier 1 operators, super affiliates, challenger brands, tier 2s, tier 3s. I've because of what we do at ICS, a lot of this isn't hypothetical for us. So
hence why you're on this call.
So the reason why I'm saying that is that what we're literally seeing is people are running their own race. So, and I differentiate between people that have money in the bank, quite a lot of money in the bank in some cases, and then the people that are, working into more narrow margins. For the people that do have money in the bank, they absolutely are spending more on PPC and things like this, and even some elements of media buying, because they know their numbers, because they know how their conversion rates have maintained, increased, or decreased slightly, but it's okay because the shortfall in conversion is made up for the bargains that they can have on cost, the acquisition cost. So what we would say would be for everyone to run their own race, look at your own numbers. For some people, spending more on media makes sense. For some people, spending less makes sense. I think performance marketing, if you can get more of your traffic from free channels like SEO or from affiliation where you then pay back once people deposit, that's cool. But there is definitely, I wouldn't pause too long before deciding to capitalize on some of these opportunities. In terms of trends, obviously sports betting is like off a cliff. Nobody does want to see the Belarusian league. There is some interest in Hong Kong racing, in South African racing, US racing. That's, for the people that love their horses, that's still there to some extent. But for gaming, poker is on the way up. And I think that goes back to what people were saying earlier. At this particular time, people are interested in social activities, hobbies, games of skill, and poker does encompass some of that. It's not totally random.
I'm not sure if there's somebody on the call. I don't know if any of you have heard of this brand. It's called QFun. There's a guy by the name of Emmanuel Lopez who runs that business. It's an incredibly interesting product. So if you're an affiliate and you're looking to pivot, I would suggest that you go and have a look at that product. Martin?
So kind of beyond that, I think trends, I think we're seeing a little bit of an increase in bingo type stuff, but as people have said in the chat, you know, the value is not necessarily there for most people. People are not going to bet on anything. They've got to be something that they're engaged with. So I think it's, again, like we said before, looking at your customers. What are their traits? What do you know about them already? What can you sensibly direct them towards? What do you just have to take a bit of a pause on? Another thing is, you know, assuming this whole thing, the worst of it's over in 12 weeks, 10 weeks, that's not a lot of time in business planning terms. So there's lots of scope for, you know, as Sharon was saying, looking at different types of on-site content for SEO reasons, for looking at, you know, getting your house in order for technical SEO, indexation, speed, all the kind of annoying stuff that often people don't do because they're, you know, managing a sports book with, you know, games every single day, and they're keeping on top of the everyday activity. This could be the time. Again, if you have money in the bank, if you have time, that's what to focus on. If you're in survival mode, all of us need to respect that. Agencies in particular need to respect that. But for those that, you know, do have the scope to plan further ahead, there's lots of stuff that you can be doing, and there is some lessons to learn from what's gone before. Like Nick was saying, we can look at what's gone before in other countries, and we can also see what Google's telling us, what trends are on the up, and so on. And there's lots of that data out there, and we can see what competitors are up to as well. That's always a good look as well, to see what to guide future strategy. What are your competitors doing? Are they investing more, investing less, and take a view on things.
Thanks for that, Martin. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Van, because you're up next, is brand protection in PPC, not just from an operator's perspective, but also now from an affiliate's perspective, because I would imagine that the pay-per-click space is going to become incredibly competitive as we're all looking for new traffic. What are your thoughts on that from your experience?
Yeah, just a couple of things I think are interesting. To Sam's point, I think in general, organizations have pulled back a bit on their paid search spend, but it's been highly erratic. We've seen cases where brands will, it looks like they've turned off their spend for a few days and then turned it back on. So it seems like there's a lot of testing by brands to see how changes in their search spend affect conversion rates and other things. You know, I think the lesson there for everybody is pay attention to what's going on in search. Make sure you're keeping an eye on what your competitors are doing, what your affiliates are doing, because it's things that I think were pretty stable for a while, and that there's a lot of experimentation going on right now. In terms of affiliates specifically, one of the questions that we had when all this started was how it would affect the brand protection space, how it would affect affiliates that are in the past would brand bid or create affiliate hijacks to try to get that traffic through search. So the good news is that we have not seen a significant, at least in the aggregate, we have not seen a significant uptick in that type of activity. We had wondered if you know, with some affiliate programs shutting down, but obviously we thought it might affect how, you know, some affiliates income stream, and they might look to more illicit behavior to make money. We haven't seen that so far. The bad news is that there's always a constant kind of a steady stream of affiliates doing this. So if you know, I guess the story there is if you're monitoring for the paid search space today, then keep monitoring and you'll be fine. If you're not monitoring that space, you know, you're still at risk because you know, that type of activity is always out there.
Yeah, and from an SEO, so be even more aware of your competitors right now, I think, is the message that comes through there. Nick, what about you from a natural search perspective? What are some of the key things? I know you're going to publish quite an in-depth article about this, but just give us 2 to 3 points that affiliates operators should be looking at in this space.
Yes, nothing really changes. Google's infrastructure is the same today as it will be in 3 months' time. The one thing I've noticed, though, is how much Google is more dynamic the results are. In other words, stuff that's timely is obviously getting pulled up much more. The other thing that I've been saying for ages is if you satisfy users, you'll rank. So when I've got a couple of projects on where like SEO is the make or break for this thing. And the way I'm doing it is I'm going for maximum user satisfaction. So it's like, I just look at who ranks best for the key phrases I'm interested in. I work out why they rank number 1, 2, 3. And then I take the best bits and I incorporate that into what I'm doing. So for example, you're a sportsbook person and you see lots of action across the way in casino. Are you sure you're going to do something satisfying on the casino front? There might be an interesting hybrid, which is something to do with kind of knitting in casino into a sports story. I don't know, but the point is you rank because you're satisfying to users. So I just think just keep focused on that one big idea, that you rank because you're satisfying. Google wants you there because it wants its users to see your stuff, because if it didn't, you wouldn't be there. And the other big thing is that the links thing. I get so many people pitching me to buy links. And all my analysis that I've done just shows that, broadly speaking, like 70, 80% of the time, the links don't correlate with rankings. So it's just like, why would you spend all that money on something that has a very uncertain outcome when you can see just by looking at search results that the stuff that ranks best is generally the stuff that is the best for that user in the context of the search phrase? Now, obviously, some people might disagree and go links, 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 but all I know is in the last 3 years, I've done 2 or 3 big projects, and the stuff that I've done that's worked is stuff that's based on user satisfaction. Give them what they want, they will rank.
I think
And that doesn't change.
To content though, doesn't it? I mean, you know, both Dean, Sarah, Aaron, pretty much everybody on this call, Sam, everybody here who is an expert in digital marketing has stated that this is about asking your customers what they want and actually giving it to them. So whether that is impacting your pay-per-click, your search, your social media strategies, it's about providing content that people want and need and find valuable. And I think it's the same in affiliate programs.
Yes.
Getting affiliates to promote you now is about providing them with the content that they need and want in order to generate sales.
So just on the SEO stuff, so the correlation that I've seen again and again and again is if you dump a load of links into something, don't necessarily, you might get a bump in rankings, but if you're not being satisfying, then the rankings fall. If on the other hand, you sort out your stuff and you're delivering some value to the user and all this, I know it sounds very academic, but it's not. You just look at the search results, look at who ranks top, see what they do, take the best bits, you do it. And then if you get some good links, that helps. So what's a good link? It's, in my opinion, it's from sites that are trusted. What's a site that's trusted? Probably a site that ranks. So just on one final thing, this whole thing about ranking and the zeitgeist and so on, we know that different countries have different curves. They're in different parts of the cycle. We know that everyone's fixated with the news. Therefore, everyone's kind of a like mind. We see this with the data, with how people are behaving. If you just pull yourself away from this herd and just look a little bit further, then you'll be able to play ahead of the game. So in my humble opinion, gambling is broadly not a good, the government in the UK is broadly anti-gambling. It'll be a great opportunity for them to cleanse the ecosystem. We saw this in the 20s with the prohibition movement, straight after the influenza pandemic back then. I just see it. So with Sportsbook, I think it's going to be in for a tough time for a long time. Casino, online casino, it's just a land of gold, really. There's so much there. And yeah, I just think if you're focused on sports and you believe that this is just a blip, no, it's the winter, a long winter. But hey, if you know this, you can do something about it. And yes, you can take that prominence and work it into something around casino.
I just want to comment on something that Sarah's put in the chat, that she's seeing huge results in proper retargeting, and it's about looking at the long game again. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I think, Dean, you do very, very well in your business, is like our industry doesn't even recognize inbound marketing as a digital channel, as a form of digital marketing. And I think you and I spoke about this the other day, and I just want to close off because I know that we're on the kind of 4 p.m. mark now. But we need to think outside of just pay-per-click SEO, social media, organic content. We need to be thinking about inbound marketing, engaging our audiences. I don't know if there's any one like big tip that you can give us, Dean, in terms of like how our industry can think about inbound in a different way.
Well, there are a million answers to that, but give you one. So on the LinkedIn space, most people underestimate its pulling power for traffic, massively underestimate it. As in, I'll give you an example. I've done a little guy working from his house, put a little system in for him, really simple, into a MailChimp. It's a little guide we wrote for him. It took all of like an hour to do. And he's had, in a month, 500 signups just from LinkedIn posts. And this guy is nowhere near probably anywhere some of the people are performing on this call. Yeah. But he's pulling 500 signups from his own LinkedIn with his 968 connections. Yeah. So the pulling power of traffic from LinkedIn is incredible. But again, it comes back to a lot of the stuff we said earlier, is getting content that people are interested in. One last aside, which is my claim to fame. So we do training events on LinkedIn, and we pull traffic from LinkedIn for it. Last month, we had 270,000 views of our training page for one event, and half the traffic came from LinkedIn.
Wow. And soon we're going to be working together. And I think you're probably going to be working with a whole bunch of other people. And Sarah, anything on your side about retargeting and localization? I think I just wanted to kind of bring that point up, and how Facebook can really help you to get into like local, even down to like postcodes. Is there anything there that you can share with the guys on the call here?
Yeah, sure. I think with the retargeting, it is more about leveraging the people that you're connected to, but also the people that are consuming your content. So anything video based, you can retarget against people that watched it for various amounts of time, and that will give you some real key data around who is actually consuming, and therefore you can give more of those people more content. When it comes to localization, yeah, absolutely, you narrow it down to the postcode. So if you want to do that, the insights inside Facebook retargeting is phenomenal. And if you haven't invested some time in that, then now's the time to do it, because it will give you data that you need to be able to target people down to the individual.
Okay, thank you. Guys,
Can I very, very quickly add on that? So a very, very quick point. Another really useful thing about Facebook is how widely used its interface is for even other platforms. So you can even look at, using interface to do Tinder ads or whatever you want. You can do a lot of cool stuff like that. So I definitely endorse that approach to Facebook. And
I'm going to be hitting you up for an article about Tinder ads now, Martin. You just signed yourself up for that, dude.
I'm passionate.
Hey, Leanne, can I just mention one thing that I don't think we touched on in probably 5 seconds? Just going back to basic business, and especially when the time when companies are struggling, a lot of affiliates, and at least from the guys I've been speaking to, are going to make sure that they're working with brands that they trust they're going to get timely payments and get their payments from. So it's incredibly important that affiliate programs continue to pay out on time. And with some of your affiliates that you really trust and you worked with for a long time, maybe keep in mind that their families may not be working. They might be tight on cash. If there's ways to pay affiliates weekly or bi-weekly, or figure out ways to try to help them and really drive that relationship forward, I think you have an opportunity to win big in that space. So just trying to think, how you can help out some of your partners if you're in a financial position to do so, I think can go a really long way.
I do believe in that too. Anything else that anybody wants to add in? Otherwise, we're going to round this up. We're only 5 minutes over, but I think we've done a great job in covering such a broad spectrum of questions and things that I've been asked prior to having this call. I'm just going to open it up to anybody listening on the chat. Is there anything else that you guys want to ask our experts while we're on this call? This has been recorded, so we will share it out on affiliateinsider.com, on our LinkedIn channels. You will have everybody's contact information. If the speakers allow me to publicly put it onto our website, you can then contact them straight from there if there's any help or advice or services that you need. I would like to thank everybody for joining us today. It has been amazing to have so many experts on this call who have such a vast amount of knowledge. Thank you to Income Access for helping us to promote this. You guys have been amazing in helping us to spread the word, because we did turn this around really quickly. I've had a million emails come through while I've been talking to you guys, so I think we're definitely going to be resharing it out to almost double the people that joined us today. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate all of you, and I hope that we will be able to come together again a little bit more often and do these calls now that we're all virtually isolated, and just really talk about what we see happening in each of our sectors. So thank you very much to all of my expert speakers for joining me and giving me an hour of your time. I know our time is even more valuable now that we're working from home and homeschooling. I've really enjoyed having you on this call, and I really appreciate everybody that signed in for joining us here on this call. So thank you very much. We will end here, say goodbye, and just watch my LinkedIn channel to find out when the replay will be sent and published to Affiliate Insider. Thank you very much for joining me today.
And a big thank you to you too, Leanne. Well done
Thanks,
for
Leanne.
organizing this.
Thank you. All right.
Good job.
Speak
Yeah,
to you
thanks,
all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for joining
Bye,
us.
everyone.
Bye,
Take
everybody.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.